Hey guys, and welcome. Today I wanted to focus on and discuss the backstory and lore of Sinmara and Surtur, how they met, why they were so madly in love, and why they were always apart and could never physically be together. The other day we uploaded a video on the channel around an entire cut mission in God of War Ragnarok and a set of ending missions in the epilogue too, relating to us visiting Sinmara after we'd spoken with Surtur at the Spark of the World. I have no clue why this section of the game was cut, but it really would have given us that extra context around their relationship. We always heard how madly in love these two were, but we never got to really see it from each individual person's perspective other than Surtur's of course, and some of the dialogue that Mimir mentioned to us. I feel like us visiting the Sinmara would have given us that extra piece of information that we needed. We can hear her crying when we go to Niflheim later on into the game, when we get the Yggdrasil seed. But it's not the same as seeing her talking to her in person and asking her those questions that we might have done if we would have gone to that section of Niflheim and physically spoke to her and persuaded her to go to the Spark of the World and initiate Ragnarok in that way.
Do you hear that? Someone's crying.
Sinmara.
Ah, Surtur's love. Should we try to tell her what happened?
She knows.
If you guys want to go see that video, and ultimately check out the cut content within God of War Ragnarok and the mission that we didn't get in going to see Sinmara in Niflheim, then I'll leave a link in the description down below or an annotation on the screen right now for you guys to go click onto it and then go check it out. Other than that, you can just go to the channel page and it's the video we did before this one. It's definitely worth checking out, and it does fill in some context as to how this game would have been if we would have had this section in and the different information that we of course would have known. But we still don't know why it was cut, so leave your thoughts and opinions down below as to why you think it was cut, and if you think this should have been cut or not. But everyone, leave a like on today's video if you're going to enjoy, it'd be very much appreciated. Why not also consider subscribing to the channel as well if you're brand new or a returning viewer that loves story content, as there'll be much more to come on the channel. But without further ado everyone, let's dive straight in. So, let's start off by going through Surtur and Sinmara's backstory, how they met, how they were created, and then ultimately, why they can never be together. It all started right here, at the Spark of the World. There were no other realms in existence at the time, only the primordial forces, such as fire, ice, and this void right here, the Spark of the World. One day, a being that went by the name of Ymir was born. Ymir was born by a mystic blood of something entirely new, and went on to become the being of pure creation and chaos, the mother, the father, to all that came after. Every man, every woman, and beast came from the flesh of Ymir, including the Aesir, and, of course, Odin. However, it was the Aesir who thought of themselves as superior and dominant over the rest of the creations. It was Odin who took arms against his creator and spilled Ymir's lifeblood with his spear. A necessary evil, Odin would say, to bring order to the rest of the realms. From Ymir's torn flesh, Odin would fashion the realm of Midgard for his own, called himself the All-Father, as if he was the creator, and not the creator's destroyer. After Ymir's birth, another being followed, Surtur. Hailing from Muspelheim, Surtur would bring heat to the young cosmos, creating the sun and the stars out of his own primordial flame. He eventually met a frost giant named Sinmara, and the two were initially extremely hostile to one another, before they were attacked by other enemies. The two managed to defeat all of the enemies, and in the end, both fell in love. Surtur and Sinmara, however, eventually learned of the prophecy of Ragnarok, where Surtur would combine with Sinmara into a monstrous giant and destroy Asgard with a huge flaming sword, which would be plunged into the heart of the godly realm, whilst also killing him and Sinmara in the process. Both being extremely upset by this revelation, as he knew that Sinmara would die with him as well. Surtur separated himself from Sinmara, but the two decided to exchange their hearts so they would always have a piece of each other. Surtur became weaker due to her frozen heart, and became disillusioned with the role he would have to play in Ragnarok and preferred not to be involved. Following this, he attempted for eons to forge a fiery sword so that he could destroy Asgard in case the prophecy came to pass, but was unable to create one. Due to the power that this giant sword held that was held by Ragnarok, Surtur just could not replicate this. According to the legend of Surtur, never sleeping and continuously honing his fiery sword, he's supposed to patiently wait for the time in which he would fulfill his purpose, to sacrifice himself in order to complete a grand cycle much bigger than himself. Until then, he waits alone in Muspelheim, until one day, him and Sinmara can be together again. It is really sad because the only way that these two can meet is by meeting in the spark of the world, and if anything bad happens when they do meet each other, that's of course where Ragnarok will form, and that's the end of everything really. So to prevent them from creating this giant monster and killing each other in the process, they swapped hearts, and they just stay separated even to this day. It's a really sad story, to be honest, of how these two can never really be together, but unfortunately that's just what had to be. So, we know from the cut content that was removed from the game, again, link in the description, go check it out, that they were initially going to be played through this entire section of the game with Surtur, but then also after that section where we place the Blaze of Chaos into his chest, and he falls into the void of the Spark of the World, we would also then travel to Niflheim and speak with Sinmara about it too, to try and get her to play her part in the story. Personally, I am really gutted this didn't make it into the final section of the game, as it would have given us such a good insight into how both of these love each other, and maybe some more then around their backstory too. I would have absolutely loved it if we could have seen both of these characters finally reunite and decide together that they need to take down Odin. I think this would have been so much more impactful than having them both separated and individually speaking to them. Yes, it may be more lore accurate, but from a story perspective, caring about these two characters' backstory, their love for one another, I think personally would have made for a much more engaging story, and one with a bit more of a happier ending. But what we do know is that in the version that we all played, Surtur would only help us if we didn't speak to Sinmara, as he didn't want her to die ultimately. However, in the cut content, at the very end of the game when we did speak to both Sinmara and Surtur, both of their hearts fell somewhere into 2 of the 9 realms, which we had to go and find, retrieve, and we can place them into the Spark of the World and reunite them together, where everything started, and for them to finally be together again, without the necessary need of worrying about Ragnarok.
What is that?
The heart of Sinmara.
Ragnarok. Asgard's destruction must have split their heart in 2.
What of it? The creature served its purpose, for better or for worse.
When joined, they were not themselves.
Something you're not telling us, brother? Well, if you're that bothered about it, perhaps the other heart is still out there too.
Why do you care about this monster?
They fought for a lie, and I allowed it.
What lie?
It does not matter. But the creature was born from its telling. Irrational. Grieving. If we had told the truth,
My brother might still be alive?
perhaps.
We found Sinmara's. Surtur's probably survived too.
We will find it. The heart of Surtur.
We could return to the Spark of the World. Lay the hearts to rest. Surtur and Sinmara. Reunited at last.
Freya. I am sorry.
No. You did what you thought was right. To win the war. Apologizing to me for this makes it sound like his death was a tragic accident. Freyr knew what he was doing, and he saved us because of it.
That is no excuse.
Maybe a moot point. You sure you want to leave the hearts here, brother? The Spark of the World is brimming with primordial magics. What if they bring Ragnarok back to life? What if they figure out what you did?
Then I will deal with the consequences.
However, an interesting part to mention in the cut content is that Mimir does mention that what if something happens to both of these hearts and causes Ragnarok to form again, both of their hearts being together on the edge of the Spark of the World, and the primordial powers surrounding the Spark of the World, there could be a chance that this could happen again. Kratos then says that he'll have to be the one responsible for this and take the brunt force of it. But why would this have been there? Could that have been a case of them maybe hinting towards future DLC? That they've maybe thought, no, but they've scrapped it and that's why they've removed that section of the game? Like, I would love to know your thoughts and opinions down below. I know nothing's been mentioned or announced around DLC of any sort for Ragnarok, but you don't know how things work now with the sort of the live service games and continuously putting content out for different things, because a DLC for God of War Ragnarok would absolutely smack, and I think we can all agree on that. in terms of monetary gains and also generally just to bring people back to the game. But obviously, let me know your thoughts and opinions down below on what you think of that. But that is going to be it for today's video, everyone. A little bit of a backstory around Sinmara and Surtur, their love story, a heartbreaking love story, really, but a little bit into the cut content again. Again, links in the description, go check it out if you're not already. And yeah, I'm a bit gutted we didn't get that part of the game. I would have loved to have visited Sinmara to understand more around her as a character and their relationship with Surtur and Sinmara. Maybe even a chance of them seeing each other at one point. I would have loved to have seen that unfold. But anyway, it never meant to be. But I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions down below, everyone. Let me know what you think there. And yeah, leave a like on today's video if you did go ahead and enjoy. Subscribe if you guys are a brand new or a returning viewer for plenty more story content. And thanks all for watching. We'll see you all in the next video.